Okay, we ready?
Yeah, we're about to party like it's 1999, part of our Film Lads Retro... No, I can't. Welcome to Film Lads Podcast. I'm Kirk, joined by Victor and Nolan always. Say hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey there.
Victor, that was a little quiet. I think you're a little far away from the mic there. Maybe get closer and then say hey.
Hey, guys.
All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, so today, in honor of 1999 turning 20 years ago, was the year 1999.
The year I was born.
The year Victor was born.
Young lad
on the street.
Yeah.
So in honor of, one of the best film lads, tied for the second best film lad, Victor Canal, we're doing the best of 1999, the top 10 of 1999. And great year for cinema. And let's just get right into it with Nolan's number 10 pick. Let's hear it.
All right, here we go. Well, like we've done on previous podcasts, I got quotes ready. So, you guys might not get each quote that I bring up, but you weren't, Kirk, because you haven't seen this film, but I just can't see God putting a gift like that in the hands of a man who would kill a child. You guys know what it is?
The Green Mile?
Yeah, Green Mile. That's my number 10 pick.
Yeah. It's also the number 1 pick of friend of the podcast, Wyatt.
Wyatt Raynor.
Shout out to Wyatt Raynor.
It's a fantastic film. It's a 3.5 hour epic that what's so
No, I'm just laughing because it's a 3.5 and I was like, yeah, it's a 3.5.
Sure.
Oh yeah, you guys are like nodding. Yeah. Well, you haven't seen it.
Sorry to throw you off. Sorry to throw you off.
3.5
No,
hours.
it's all good.
It was just funny the way you said it. It's a 3.5.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Anyways, 3.5 hour epic that really just has me hooked from start to finish. I don't think it's a perfect film by any means. I think there's one character in there that's kind of corny. But to me, The Green Mile is to The Shawshank Redemption what Casino is to Goodfellas. It's sort of like Darabont with Shawshank.
Yeah.
And The Green Mile is just so similar to Shawshank in every way. And just the performances and the emotion all the way through, the subtext and relations to Christianity, as well as the beautiful score by Thomas Newman, who had an amazing year in 1999 as well with other films. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I love this movie so much. And Kirk, I suggest you check it out, even though I'm not sure you'll love it, given that you don't hold Shawshank as highly as I do. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my number 10.
Good pick.
great pick.
My number 10 is Michael Mann's The Insider, drama film based on a true story.
Great fucking pick.
Led by 2 absolutely amazing performances. Al Pacino is great as always. Lots of great moments of him yelling, freaking out, which you can always expect, and it's pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Crowe is amazing. Probably my favorite performance in the movie. Nolan, I said this to you, I can't remember the last time I've just felt for a character so hard.
I agree with that.
He carries so much in his performance. You can just really feel his helplessness that he feels, and it's heartbreaking.
I'd agree with that.
But yeah, great story about truth and the value of it. Michael Mann's style is great. You said this in your review on paper. It's nothing too cinematic, but his style just makes it such an intense and stressful experience. With
it's so intense.
Close-ups, handheld cinematography, editing. Like The Green Mile with you, it's not a perfect movie, but it's pretty damn awesome. And I was compelled the entire time. But yeah, what were you saying?
But what we were talking about, what the movie is on paper, I feel like that attributes to how it didn't do that well at the box office. It had a lot of critical success. It got, all nominated for all these Oscars and everything, but I feel like just the subject matter didn't intrigue people into the theater.
Which is a shame, because it's one of the best films of the year, in my opinion.
And it's just as intense as Collateral and Heat.
Heat's the only other movie I've seen, but it definitely matched the intensity.
Yeah, awesome pick, man.
Yeah, dope. I haven't got a chance to personally see The Insider, but it's on the list of my blind spots of 1999. But I was able to watch a couple films in preparation for this podcast, as both you guys were. And one film that was added to my list that I didn't know too much about, so I went into it pretty blind, was an Iranian film from Majid Majidi, The Color of Paradise. And just going into this film blind and not expecting much, it was just like a very spiritual and beautiful natural story that has a lot to do with like nature. I'm not a very big spiritual person, but I really love, like, I thought this film was very beautiful. I don't know, like the natural world, and it had this director had a really good eye for capturing like simple as like children picking flowers, like bring a certain beauty to it. Je ne quoi, you know,
a certain je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. It just barely made my number 10 pick. There were a few films. There were about 6 films in the running for the number 10 slot on my list, but I had to give it to that one just because I did not expect it to be as good as it was and like it as much as I did. So,
yeah, that's a great pick.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I remember when you logged it on Letterboxd, and I quickly added it to my watch list. I had so many other 1999 films that I wanted to see, and so many that I unfortunately missed. And
yeah, honestly, I think it got the edge over some of my other picks just because I wanted to give it the shout out because it's definitely like an underrepresented film that a lot of people haven't seen.
For sure.
Like next in line, I'll say later when, because I don't want to spoil.
We will get to that.
Yeah, it's a film that both of you guys I know are going to have very high on your list. So
I think I know what it is.
Well, okay. Speaking of which, we polled some of our Film Lad alumni and listeners and friends of the podcast just to check out what their favorite movie of 1999 was. So I have a couple of those here, and I'll be reading them out throughout the podcast. So first, I'd like to give a shout out to Maddie. That's at Mad Tummyache on Twitter. And she replied this: Big Daddy, just kidding. But I'm a Cheerleader. Director Jamie Babbitt is a cult classic that script and direction work together to create a story with questionable yet hilarious characters and plots. Not technically the best film, but a campy comedy for the books. So Maddie's,
I would agree with your statement.
Maddie's
I'd
pick
agree
from
with
1999 is "But I'm a Cheerleader," a film that
I know you didn't get to see
I'm
it,
not
but
familiar with.
Yeah, me and Nolan saw it, and it's
a pretty
definitely
crazy-
campy, but
it's a campy,
I think
crazy
it's pretty clever and pretty intelligent in quite a few ways.
Well,
honestly,
That's going on my watch list. You guys sold me, and Maddie definitely sold me as well.
It owes a lot to John Waters. With what I was reading about it, and a lot of critics praise it for the John Waters homage, and a lot of people just put it aside as
not the divine stuff, but the other
John
the
Waters
other stuff.
knockoff.
Later.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely not the divine stuff.
Dope pick, Maddie. And with that being said, let's move on to your number 9, Nolan.
We'll move on. Film that we've all seen, and a film that we all love. Kitty, 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 kitty. Yeah, Audition. I'm kind
How
of
do
just.
you even talk about this movie?
I'm kind of just getting like chills down my spine just thinking about this movie. This one really, really messed me up. Even like knowing a little bit of what it was about going in, and just like slowly as the film went on, it just got harder and harder to take. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I started to feel kind of cold, and I asked Kirk, I said, man, can you get me a blanket for this? Because I am just so cold right now watching this. Yeah, like Takashi Miike, or Meek, whatever you say his name. Just what a crazy guy.
Crazy guy.
This is a crazy film, and shout out to him as well for having another film out in 1999, Dead or Alive. Kirk, that opening scene.
Dead or Alive?
The opening of Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive? The opening and ending of that movie, if the rest of the movie was like that, it'd be the number 1 movie of this year. Unfortunately, it's not.
Check out the opening of Dead or Alive if you haven't seen it.
But Dead or Alive is a fantastic film.
Anyways, I had to bring up Dead or Alive, but back to Audition. It's just...
It's a hard movie to talk about.
I'm just going to stop talking about it, and we'll just move on to Victor's pick.
Yeah, it's a tough film to talk about, but yeah, great pick, Nolan. My number 9 is Lynn Ramsey's Ratcatcher, which is a very gritty and disturbing film, yet a very poetic and beautiful film at the same time.
Awesome pick.
And I really love the way that Lynn Ramsey kind of makes these poetic moments out of such a gritty and disturbing backdrop. I mean, it's led by an awesome child performance. And yeah, not much. I don't have too much to say. Just like what the film does, it does so well. And yeah,
Watch with subtitles.
Definitely
You gotta do
watch
that.
the
You have to
subtitles.
do that.
Yeah,
One of the few movies that's in English that is unwatchable without
In English.
subtitles.
Yeah. Like you think Train Spotting is hard? Ratcatcher is
Yeah.
fucking hard,
Yeah.
right?
impossible. Even. Yeah,
But I love that point that you brought up about those poetic moments because
the scene
That-
where the
in the field,
main kid is running in the field is just
it's
like
beautiful.
one of the most beautiful scenes.
And just
of
the
the
way
year.
when he jumps out and it's sort of like a frame within a frame,
Mm-hmm.
and then the camera pulls in and the field just kind of gets larger, but it's just because the camera's pulling in.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of The Master when.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. You know what shot I'm talking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
obviously.
The bet.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Great pick, man.
Great movie.
Great movie. I'm sure we'll talk about it later.
Yes.
Speaking of talk about that later, well, probably no one will talk about this one later, but definitely the most iconic movie of 1999 by far. You can't think of the year without thinking of this movie, and that is from the Wachowskis, The Matrix. Now, this is a film that my first viewing was actually this year, and I wasn't looking forward to revisiting this movie because I was just like, oh, a movie like this, like Avatar's in the same book, where it's really like praised for its effects and just the stylistic elements of like how it used CGI and all these things. And Avatar hasn't aged well, so I was not excited to revisit The Matrix and be disappointed by not catching this movie out earlier in life. But no, I gotta say The Matrix holds up for sure.
It holds up better
dark,
than Avatar.
yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure. It's as dark, edgy, and gritty as ever. They took the stylistic nods from really tons of places. Ghost in the Shell, just cyberpunk elements, and they just did so much with this movie. And everyone knows The Matrix. Like, I don't really need to talk it up much, but
They're making a new one.
well,
Look at that. Look at that.
I still haven't seen any of the sequels, and I probably never will. But
yeah.
Second one's not bad from memory, but the third one's just
The Matrix, it makes my number 9 slot.
Did you guys see that video where Tarantino lists his favorite movies from when he started making movies?
No.
He says Battle Royale is his favorite, but then he said Matrix would have been his number 2, but then he saw the sequels and it like ruined the first one in a way for him, and now the Matrix is still in there, but it's not his number 2.
Interesting.
So I wonder, Kirk, if you actually do choose to watch the sequels, I wonder if how it would
Impact your view on the French. Yeah.
Me too, because I haven't seen them in like forever. So I mean,
I'm a fan of The Matrix. I probably won't taint my view then. Like, I'll maybe not watch them. We'll see.
Tarantino could be full of shit when he says that, but like, I just
sometimes
they're not great. They're not great.
Most of the time he is, but I'll take the. Have you seen some of the movies Tarantino likes?
Yeah,
the rom-coms. I'm not a rom-com guy. All right,
but
all right.
he does say they're a guilty pleasure. Yeah.
The masses have all agreed the Matrix sequels aren't the best, apparently. So if you're a Film Lads listener and you respect the Matrix sequels and you want me to watch them, just comment in the YouTube description and I will watch them. And if anyone actually comments who's not like a fake account from Nolan or Victor, like trolling me or something,
don't comment. Watch Speed Racer, because we will watch Speed Racer one day. I'm stoked to watch. I'm so stoked to watch Speed Racer.
I'm down to rewatch it.
Oh, you seen it?
Yeah, as a child. I don't remember.
That movie is just like such a weird, small, cult following now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from, but Yeah. Anyways, back to it. Kirk's gonna read another
one
from one of our listeners.
One of our followers on Twitter at Malin1811 said this. Mine is The Phantom Menace. Say what you want about Jar Jar Binks. I'd argue he literally brought CGI into the 21st century. Speaking of which, I hope Ahmed Best, who mocapped the voice and voiced Jar Jar Binks, gets another chance. I've seen his stuff and I think he's talented.
I feel so bad for that guy who played Jar Jar. I feel terrible for him. Like the Jake Lloyd as well, who played little Anakin. Really just did not get fair treatment after that film because they did
perhaps rightfully so.
They did exactly what George wanted.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
And but that was a perfect time to bring up The Phantom Menace right after The Matrix because those were the two films of '99 that, from a visual effects standpoint, just changed the game. Like
totally.
Sure, The Phantom Menace is kind of a shit film. Yeah. It changed the game from a digital film.
Pod racing is still dope.
The pod race is racing. I fuck with the pod race so hard.
I'm pro pod
racing. That's everyone's comment on the movie. It's shit, but the pod racing.
No. Qui-Gon Liam Neeson and what's his name? Oh, Ewan McGregor.
Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah. Ewan McGregor are better than Liam Neeson, but they are fantastic too. Obviously, fucking what's his name? Darth Maul. It's so, but now they're kind of ruining him because they keep bringing him back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's not get into the Star Wars nerd things. We could be talking all day about Star Wars, and Victor will just be crying.
But the saddest to me, the saddest thing that happened in 1999 was George killing off Darth Maul. But anyways, we'll talk about that outside of the podcast. We'll just move on.
And we'll be moving on to that number 8 slot, Nolan. What's it going to be?
My number 8 slot? The worst part about being old is remembering when you was young.
The Straight Story.
From David Lynch's The Straight Story, which to me is just such a kind of cozy film. It's a weird thing because it's probably Lynch's most straightforward,
it's his straight story.
Exactly. It's his least obscure and abstract, weird film, yet at the same time, it's kind of the one that stands out in his filmography because it's so unlike all of his other works. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just, imagine a road trip movie, but with just, instead of a group of young idiots, you got just this old guy by himself on a lawnmower who's just living the life, going across country. So you just get these beautiful little vignettes all throughout. That all builds up to an ending that really just punctuates so much emotion for me. And I love this movie. And
what I think is funny is you see all these memes Disney's gonna own everything soon, or all films will be made by Disney. And it's just one day, even David Lynch will be making films for Disney. Oh, wait, he already did.
Yeah, he did.
It's a great story. So, dope. Going on to Victor's number 8 there.
Good pick, Nolan.
Thank you, sir.
My number 8.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be here, but it's The Matrix.
Ooh, another appearance.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dang.
Kirk, you summed it up well. Just such an iconic movie. So many memes of it. The blue, the red pill, to this day,
even the cultural, the
cultural significance of it, it's just embedded in meme culture. It's just
this
everywhere.
idea of being woke, as much as I don't, that shit's crazy. You gotta respect it for doing that,
The soundtrack is also fucking awesome.
It's awesome, yeah. Mm-hmm. But to this day, just one of the coolest action movies ever made. I think the costuming is iconic. Bullet time is iconic. The martial arts, it's just it's awesome.
Well, even the extreme as it may be, but the color in that film, what they do with how they portray the Matrix versus the real world is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's very obvious, but it's beautiful.
It's effective, yeah.
Also, The Matrix isn't just a movie. Because of the movie, it's a verb. if you bend your back all the way down to like a 90-degree angle, you're matrixing, you know? It's that classic.
I never heard that.
I've never heard that either.
You know the scene when
I
he's
know the
getting
bullet
shot?
time. Yeah, I know, but I just never heard that term.
Or maybe not matrixing, but you're doing the matrix when you do that.
Right. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised to have both of you guys have that on your list, but it is an iconic
It's
movie.
a childhood favorite as well. I've seen it many times.
I won't lie, no nostalgia was.
Oh, nostalgia's not impacting this. I'm just saying, like, it's a little cherry on top, I guess.
All I want to say is, like, you know, just to back you up on that.
Yeah.
Like, I just watched the film for the first time.
And you can confirm that, it's
and
awesome.
I was going into it not
with, like, low expectations, thinking it wouldn't hold up.
It blew me away. So, it still holds up. So, moving on to my number 8, a movie that I had seen before, but a rewatch was necessary because it's so fantastic. One of my favorite musicals of all time. It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song, starring 2 Canadian film actors, Terrence and Phillip. And that's South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Nice.
The South Park movie.
Nice pick.
With influences ranging from Les Mis to just pretty much about everything. South Park is a hilarious tale about censorship, and it's so hard to talk about this, like, you know.
You just have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
I'm the only one who hasn't seen it.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
great songs, like Uncle Fucker, whatever it is, Blame Canada, of course. Kyle's Mom is a Bitch, or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
So many great songs, and it's just so raunchy and crazy, but at the same time, it manages to do so much. Appearances from, obviously, Matt Stone, Trey Parker, but we also get a little George Clooney, one line as a doctor. Eric Idle also plays something in there, I forget, and some other people, I'm sure. But yeah, gotta go with South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut for my number 8 movie.
Love the pick.
So,
What do the lads have to say about 1999?
Speaking of Lad alumni and podcast regular Matt McKenzie weighed in on the topic. He says a little film that you might not have heard of called Fight Club. He said,
Surprise.
we can't talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about that.
It's, you know, Matt McKenzie says because Fight Club, because it has, in my opinion, the best ending of all time. It is constantly thrilling leading up to it. The performances around the board are just spectacular. Summed it up pretty well there, Matt. Yeah, dope pick.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of dope pick, let's hear what your dope pick for number 7 is going to be there, Nolan.
There were a lot of things said about Mr. McAllister, so I do not know what is true. I do not care about what he did or did not do. All I know is that he helped me out, and I believe that he is a good guy. Election. I just laughter. Just laugh from start to finish watching this film. Like, it's just... Victor, I like what you said in your Letterboxd review. It is the least boring film ever made. That is a true statement, my guy. Like, every scene... Oh, and it's just so unique, and everything about it just holds up so well. And it was ahead of its time, even, you know. And all the performances are just crazy. That guy who plays Paul, oh my god.
Paul Metzler.
Best supporting actor.
Metzler.
Best supporting actor in 1999.
And a recent addition to the Criterion Collection, and what a great recent addition that was.
Might have to cop.
I honestly think, I'm going to have to cop it one day.
I'm going to buy it.
I haven't seen this in a few years. I don't really have too much to say because my memory of it is kind of out there. It's distant.
I've seen it twice in the past 3 weeks, and I'd be down to watch it again with you soon.
Let's do it, my guy.
I'd be down to watch it too.
Maybe
Again.
that's
Go for it. A little lad watch.
Yeah.
Watch Election, lads, if you guys haven't seen it.
Like, for me, it's like basically it feels like you take this like comedy that's not supposed to be cinematically interesting, and it feels like a French New Wave film with all the voiceover and like freeze frames and just all that stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a great movie.
For sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to rewatch it.
All right, moving on to my number 7 then. My number 7, we got Takashi Miike's Audition. Like I was saying as you talked about this is such a hard film to talk about without giving things away, I guess.
Even
but
me just saying that, like, it sends chill down my spine.
Yeah,
that it's
not even that's a spoiler in a way.
It sort of kind of ruins it. Which I'm sorry.
Well,
I did that.
We're talking about 1999. We should have like
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, just the slow build in this movie is just so engrossing and so compelling, and it's just you are so simultaneously rewarded and just punished by the end of this movie. Just
great way of saying it.
The editing at the end of the movie is just ridiculous. Some of my favorite editing, and yeah, I mean, watch Audition if you haven't seen it, because you're in for a treat.
It's definitely like I just admire what Miike accomplishes so much with the filmmaking.
Totally.
Because so much of the eerie vibe that I get, especially in the second half of the movie, relies on his filmmaking skills.
Totally.
Like you were talking about with the editing, the lighting during a couple of those, I say dream question mark sequences.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mystery to that movie that I
Totally.
still don't understand.
Yeah.
But I love that about it. I just
also gives the film plenty of rewatchability.
Yeah.
For sure. I really anticipate seeing it again and seeing how the movie plays out, knowing everything about it, I guess.
Yeah. Being
watching
fully
certain
aware.
scenes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But
because I feel everyone has a certain sense of awareness when they first walk into the movie, but they don't quite know. Yeah.
Exactly how I felt when I watched it.
Because I had expectations for this movie. If you've seen the poster, you have expectations for this movie, but
yeah,
it still throws you quite a few left hooks and keeps you thrilled.
And ahead of its time. I know, Kirk, you mentioned that when you and I were watching Audition, that in the age of Tinder and all these online dating apps,
it takes on a new meaning.
Yeah.
Also, if you follow film critic Scott Tobias on Twitter, he is also rocking the Audition profile pic, and every Halloween he tweets out so shout out to Scott Tobias. Anything else to say on Audition there?
I suspect it'll come up again.
We'll have to just see about that.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
So, speaking of which, we're moving into my number 7 pick, the first documentary film to appear, and that is the embodiment of the American dream that is American Movie.
Yes.
Now,
honestly, close to my top 10.
Now, honestly, the only film that... there were a lot of films that I wasn't able to see in preparation for this 1999 list, which, I'm upset about. The one film that I was truly devastated I wasn't able to catch in time for this podcast was Coven. And that is the film that the filmmakers are making in American Movie. And just the passion of these characters. It's like they took Napoleon Dynamite as if it was a real person, and was just like, look, you're going to be a cinephile and you're going to want to make a movie. All right, that's the direction they gave him.
Yeah.
Except this guy really exists, and the fact of the matter is, this guy exists, and he's the embodiment of the American dream. And this is a time where people are saying like the American dream is dead, right? And this guy, he's just living it. Okay, he's just trying his best to fund his movie, produce his movie, get it all together. There's the stress to it, but at the same time, it's also hilarious because it's just so goofy and so fun.
One thing I love about American Movie is that the main character reminds me of myself in a way, like in high school, making short films and wanting to be the next big director, make this masterpiece and everything, and get all this help from all my friends. But this guy's like, what is he? How old is he? Like 30 or something?
Yeah, he's determined.
Yeah, he's
But
30.
he's
He has a kid and everything.
Yeah, in this suburban landscape where it's just like, it doesn't make sense. It feels a little surreal in a way. His determinism, it's
friends?
Unbelievable. His friends.
Oh my god.
And shout out to the guy, Mark Borched, or how do you say that? I don't know. But apparently, I read recently on some Facebook groups that he's still active today, and he's still active on Facebook. He is really active in the where is he from?
Wasn't it Minnesota?
Yeah, he's still active in the Minnesota film scene. So shout out to that guy for sticking it through, and he's still being active to this day, 20 years later. And I still want to get a chance to see Coven. Because
me too.
He's talking some influence. Bergman, he's always just like wide shot, 30, that 16 millimeter wide shot.
You gotta get the 16 millimeter.
Yeah, it's so good.
I gotta see this movie.
You gotta see this movie, Victor.
Yeah, there's that Giorgio Romero influence on him too.
Yeah, George A. Romero, tons of great influences because he's just a cinephile.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
What are the lads saying?
So right back at it here with another Film Lad alumni podcast previous guest, Avery. Shout out to Avery, the lad. Her number one pick of the year is going to have to be Being John Malkovich. The film is both existential and melancholic, which are two of my favorite themes for film to explore. Jones and Kaufman make the perfect director and screenwriter combo. Great pick, Avery.
They are
hard to disagree with that.
They are a hell of a combo.
All right, so going off that hell of a combo, let's go into your hell of a number 6 pick.
Hell of a number 6 pick. It was mentioned once, and it is now mentioned twice. Do you have a history of emotional problems, Mr. Wiggin? Or Wagon? Yes, I do. I get extremely emotional when assholes put bullets in my mailbox. The Insider, we already mentioned it. Michael Mann makes this uncinematic movie on paper into the most cinematic and intense, one of the most intense films in 1999. Great performances. Yeah, we already kind of went over it, but I don't really know what else I could add to the table. It really surprised me when I watched it. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, and again, just to reiterate what we said, the sympathy we have for Russell Crowe's character is unmatched.
For sure.
It's insane. And you'll know when you see it. So, if you lads
out there... I was just going to bring up the scene, but Kirk hasn't seen it, so I won't.
Oh, sure.
You can go ahead, man. Don't worry about
these scenes?
No, not this scene. But just the scene when he's running down his lawn and falling over and they're taking his computer away. Totally. It just, breaks my heart.
His performance in that scene,
yeah, it's incredible.
There's also a scene on a driving range that I thought it was gonna be shorter than it was, but it just kept going, and I was like, Wait, what's going on here?
Yeah,
I was still trying to figure out what was happening.
The same thing as it was happening,
and then eventually I figured out, and then it kept going on longer. It was so intense.
It's an awesome scene for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. On my number 6.
Number 6, Victor.
Yeah, I just want to say, man, these next 3 picks. Ranking them has been a difficult task, even up until this point. But number 6 is going to have to be Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson, my favorite director.
Yeah.
3 hours long, but just completely flies by, and it's not boring for a second. Just the tension and intensity and emotion that Paul Thomas Anderson builds all throughout, and then how it ultimately releases, I guess, is just... Yeah. Awesome. Performances all around are fantastic. Tom Cruise's best performance, maybe? Well, not sure.
I think he had a pretty good year in 1999.
Yeah, pretty good year. But yeah, performances all around and awesome cinematography. This is that early PTA. It's very Scorsese influence, and you get a lot of that in the cinematography.
For sure.
It's a very exciting film, very emotionally overwhelming, and it's fantastic.
So I guess now it's my number 6 here, from one of my favorite filmmakers, not my favorite, but it's going to be a film that some sites have it listed as the year 2000, some have it listed as 1999. I just went for the 1999 one because, you know,
because you wanted to talk about it.
Because I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, and that's Lee Chang-dong's Peppermint Candy. Now, you know, Irreversible and Memento, they get all the respect for being these non-linear masterpieces that came out around the same time as Peppermint Candy. And Peppermint Candy, I love both those films, but I think it's the odd one out of the bunch that doesn't get the respect it deserves.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like, compared to those other two films, you don't hear a lot of talk about Peppermint Candy.
For sure.
You gotta give credit to that episode of Seinfeld that came out a couple years earlier that did the same thing. Shout out to Seinfeld.
Reverse order.
Started the trend.
Well, actually, Sis and Kate did, but
Yeah, no, I'm mainly joking, but
Yeah.
I was just talking about the going backwards. I haven't seen Peppermint Candy.
yeah.
I don't know if does it go backwards or is it just non-linear?
It's 7 chapters. It's told in 7 chapters of a guy's life, starting with him committing suicide. So the entire movie is us figuring out why he's committed suicide, and it does something similar to Irreversible, but different in a way.
Cool.
Because it really shows the way it deconstructs the way in which events like have an effect on an individual, and each chapter that the main character goes through precedes the next in a really interesting and unique way. And especially figuring out like why this character is the way he is. It's really highlighting these events that either highlight who he is as a person or why he is the way he is. There are some really fucked up scenes in the movie, especially towards the end. It's a really good, like, among the Korean New Wave films, it's like the first to really tackle a theme that would be prevalent in these kinds of movies. And that is like the toxicity of, like, you know, toxic masculinity is a big theme in this movie, and something that Lee Chang-dong would cover very well later on in his career in 2018 with his film Burning. So that's a really underrated film, I think, of 1999.
Very eager to check it out.
And yeah, check that one out. But it's only number 6, so 5 more to go. Speaking of 5 more to go, we have another number 1 from one of our Twitter users, and that is Tay, at TMW6980 on Twitter. Tay said, "Eyes Wide Shut. It's just such a chilling and actually terrifying mystery of a movie that only gets better every time I watch it. Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece." But shout out to The Straight Story. So shout out to The Straight Story. But she's not the only one. She's not the only one who said Eyes Wide Shut. Because we also had Maxwell Oakley, that's at Maxwell Oakley on Twitter, say Eyes Wide Shut because Tom Cruise is hot. Agreed.
Or you know, the good old Tom Cruise laugh. It's on point in both Magnolia and Eyes Wide Shut.
Of course.
And in that,
speaking of,
he slept the whole way. Sorry.
Speaking of being on point, let's go for your on point number 5 pick.
On point number 5. Well, in this big game that we play, life, it's not what you hope for. It's not what you deserve. It's what you take. I'm Frank T.J. Mackey, master of the muffin and author of the Seduce and Destroy system, now available to you on video and audio cassette. Yeah, Tommy boy, Tommy C. What a year for the kid. Magnolia is... I love Paul Thomas Anderson so much, and Magnolia just kind of proves why, like, one of the best edited films I've ever seen. There's so many characters. and they're all played brilliantly, and everything just flows seamlessly. When I showed it to my brother, he mentioned something that I totally agree with, which is midway through the film, 30 minutes go by, like halfway through, and he felt like the movie was at its climactic point. But it just kept going. It just stays at its climactic point for minutes and minutes and minutes. It just goes on and on and on, and it doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love this film so much. One of my favorites by the lad, PTA.
Yeah, great choice. Excellent choice.
Whoa. Speaking of which, I just got an emergency tweet in from one of the film lad's favorite lads, and that's Brandon Habermeyer on Twitter at Donna Magic Show, and that's magic with a J. And he just tweeted at us our response to our good old Film Lads Twitter poll on the best film of 1999. Shout out to our Twitter. Please follow it if you're interested on getting one of these shout outs. He just tweeted us with a frog emoji. And you know what that frog emoji means? This is what Brandon Habermeyer had to say about his favorite film of 1999. Try to listen and learn. Check that ego. Come off it. I'm the prophet, the professor. I'm gonna teach you what the greatest film of 1999. What's that? Magnolia? Damn straight. Why? The gods say so. I don't make the rules. Only call out fools who train in. Because it's worth bringing the hurt if it's worth it bringing the pain in. And if the sunshine don't work, the good Lord bring it the rain in. So
honestly, like, Haves just puts it into words so well, you know?
The good old frog emoji. Anyone who's seen Magnolia knows that frogs are a very important part of that movie.
Yep.
So, speaking of important, what's your number 5 pick going to be, Victor? Sorry to interrupt you there.
No worries, man.
That was an emergency.
That was definitely an emergency. Yeah. Very important. All right, my number 5 pick is going to have to be Alexander Payne's Election. Brilliant comedy. Fantastic performances all around. Chris Klein as Paul Metzler is just one of my favorite comedic performances of all time. Just the way he delivers all of his lines, all of his facial expressions. They're perfect. And yeah, you brought up my Letterboxd review saying that this is like the least boring movie ever made. And like, you know, that's obviously a little hyperbolic, but I mean, yeah, just the script is so clever and it's always taking left turns and surprising you with what happens in the narrative. And it's just such an exciting and funny watch from start to finish. And yeah, I love its personality and the editing and the cinematography.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Well, yeah, I know both of you guys, Paul Metzler is the pick. That's who you vote for. Personally, I'm more of a Tammy Metzler guy. She really appeals to me.
Tammy Metzler's great.
With that badass punk speech.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tells it as it is.
Totally.
Takes prisoners with no names. Definitely not a flick guy. I'm not a flick guy.
No, neither am I. Yeah, totally agree.
But
What about Mr. McAllister? Is that his name?
McAllister's great.
Yeah.
He's not running, you know?
I know he's not running, but he's just a great
you guys would vote for Paul Metzler. I'm a Tammy Metzler guy myself, you know?
True. Well,
I'd vote for Tammy, but I'm just talking in terms of character watchability.
I'd vote for a Metzler.
Yeah.
I love when Paul's praying.
So good.
So good.
I mean, they're all praying.
They're all praying, yeah. It's amazing.
His especially.
Oh, man, just the face he's making when he's getting ahead in his room is just perfect. Yeah.
You're a little far away from the mic.
I apologize.
All right. Great pick. Let's move on to another great pick. My number 5 pick. Not a flick, but that's going to be Being John Malkovich from Spike Jonze and Charlie Kaufman. Avery said it fantastically. What a great combination. Now, this is Spike Jonze's debut. What a great debut.
And Kaufman's debut. Yep.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I'll double check it right now.
Spike Jonze took the sensibilities that he had been honing for comedic and just fun energy that he had been honing through his music videos, like Sabbath, all these classic music videos. Spike Jonze made all the classic music videos at this point. He came right off that, teamed up with Kaufman, who's like, you know, just the surrealist king, and the way just this film, like, who would have thought that a film about literally being John Malkovich could exist?
Yeah.
That's something only this pair could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Jones took so much of what he was honing with his music videos and applied it to this. Take, for example, the scene where you have this shot, or this handheld random shot of like the pet monkey's nightmare, like Freudian nightmare, where his parents are like, you know, running in the wild, and he's like, "Ah!" like freaking out. That's something that like no other person would put in there or shoot like that with the handheld. It's so out of place, but it's a fantastic touch. And probably my favorite part of the film is this fake documentary that we get in a time jump between when John Cusack's character takes over Malkovich for a while, and he becomes a puppeteer. And there's this great insert of like this fake, long, very long, it's like 5 minutes long, this fake documentary of all this information that we
Fincher's in that scene.
Yeah, David Fincher's in that scene too. And
that scene is so funny. Sean Penn
and Brad Pitt. Sean Penn and Brad Pitt, right? Yeah. So they just put so much effort into this thing that it really didn't need it, but it just turns the film into an outstanding film. Like, you can't get away with just being a gimmick, like a gimmicky, like, oh, it's really surrealist and weird. You can't just do that alone. You have to back it up through the content, and they do.
Yeah,
they just take it home.
If you're one of those people in the real world within the movie, it's like a very kind of touching story, but there's that level of dramatic irony there where we as an audience know that it's John Cusack as John Malkovich, and it's just hilarious.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a great movie that I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to another one of our film lads on the Twitter. That's going to be Owen Butler, and that's at Owen Butler with a double underscore. He's currently rocking a beautiful Midsummer profile pic. Beautiful, beautiful Midsummer. Great movie.
This guy's a beauty.
Fantastic.
And he said, "The Iron Giant still remains to this day a staple in the animated canon, and Brad Bird's vision of a town shaken by government interference has never seemed more prevalent. The ending is a tearjerker on every level, and the giant himself is such a beautifully written character."
Great movie.
Great movie, and that's a great pick, Owen. Yeah, Vin Diesel's voice performance, it's so subtle, but so great.
I know, I love it.
Great animated pick from that year. Not my favorite animated movie of the year, but, you know, South Park, I had to give it a South Park.
Toy Story 2.
Iron Giant's still a dope pick from a dope year. Speaking of dope picks, let's go into that number 4 pick, Nolan.
Well, I don't know if I can talk about this one, boys. No, yeah, it's Fight Club. David Fincher, my favorite director. His satire about the corporate world and this cry for help, it's iconic, and it continues to speak to me so much. It's just iconic from start to finish.
So
like every scene, every stylistic choice,
Every line of dialogue.
Yeah, and it's very, very influential on myself. I mean, all of Fincher's films are influential on myself, but Fight Club is just really stands out in Fincher's filmography. Like, obviously, it's his most iconic film. It's his most popular. Everybody talks about it. Loving Fight Club is synonymous with being a film bro.
Bro.
And a lot of those people, a lot of those dudes miss the point of the film, kind of like how they miss the point of Wolf of Wall Street. Because, like, there's a lot of things going on in Fight Club that they don't see. Yeah, and it's just endlessly rewatchable. It's hilarious. It's dark. It's horrifying. It's dirty. It's exciting and thrilling. Matt really put it eloquently in his tweet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just want to continue on Matt's point there. Like, one of the best endings of all time.
Absolutely.
And the thing that can attest to that, I think, in some form or another, is just it's one of the most spoiled endings of all time. You can't go 5 seconds on the internet without seeing a spoiler for Fight Club. You know what I'm saying? And then someone being like, "Don't talk about it."
Yeah.
Which isn't them, denying the spoiler. They're just referencing the movie. So it's just one reference after another. And it is on the laundry list of misunderstood movies, but don't let that take away from how great it is.
Absolutely.
Also, I just want to take note that it has to be a fantastic year in film for a David Fincher film to come as Nolan's number 4. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Nolan
it's
agrees.
Crazy because Fincher's a director I stand
and a PTA at my number
crazy.
6.
Yeah, that's also really crazy. Normally, Fincher's films come at number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, and same with PTA.
For years, but like both of us, it's just a testament to 1999 as a year.
Yeah, and that's not saying those are weak outputs from the directors.
It's nothing against the film.
Fantastic.
This is my number 4 pick of 1999, and Fight Club's in my top 35, I think.
Yeah,
my favorites. So
Nolan's a 1999 lad, just loves those 99 films.
Well, who isn't?
Rightfully so.
Who isn't? You're a 1990 lad too, man. Birth year. Speaking of you, let's go to that number 4
I like your
pick.
transitions into these.
I've been on point with the transitions.
So on point, Kirk.
All right, my number 4 pick is going to be American Beauty.
Beauty of a pick.
Absolutely love this movie. This is my mom's favorite movie, I think. Shout out to my mom.
Oh,
great pick. Great mother.
Great favorite movie ever. I love that.
But I love this movie. I mean, all the performances are great, specifically from Kevin Spacey, who his role kind of takes on a whole different... it's impossible to watch this movie now.
Now that he's passed away.
R.I.P. Kevin Spacey.
His dignity.
But no, as much of an asshole as he is, it doesn't take away from his absolutely outstanding performance. And I just love the themes that this film touches upon. Just this idea of American Beauty and this perfect, beautiful, idealized American family that Lester's wife tries to create, and just how the movie shows that this is all just a facade. And once Kevin Spacey's character kind of breaks away from this, then he's able to find this true peace and happiness and beauty in his life kind of thing.
Well said, Mike.
It's something that I've always loved about the movie, and it's a very powerful movie. The ending is always a tearjerker for me. So
same.
Yeah, just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about it more.
Shout out to YouTube channel. Now you see it. Rocking that.
Oh yeah, the Ricky Fitz profile picture.
Yeah.
Ricky Fitz, fantastic character.
Love
too.
Ricky Fitz.
He's so good.
The plastic bags, man.
What I
Plastic
love
bags.
about Ricky Fitz though is he's the only character who's free.
Totally.
Lester's the one who's learning how to become free, but Ricky Fitz from the get go.
Yeah.
Everybody sort of puts him off as the weird kid, but he has the most freedom in the film.
Totally. And Kirk brought up the plastic bag scene, and I love that scene so much.
Oh my god, same.
I have so many moments in my life where I'm looking at something that's not really inherently beautiful, but it just kind of is in a way. And this movie captures that so perfectly through this character of Ricky Fitz, and just how he's filming all this random shit, but it's just absolutely beautiful to him.
And on paper, that could come off as so pretentious and corny. And I think it does to some people.
I think it works. No, I think it works.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I'm not as big of a fan of the movie, but I think that part works very well.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page then for that. That's dope.
Yeah, fantastic movie.
Great pick, obviously.
And speaking of fantastic movie, we're going to go to another fantastic pick here with my number 3. We're on number 3, right? Yes.
No, we're on number 4.
We're on number 4?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, my number 4.
Whoa.
Almost spoiled it there.
Whoa.
So speaking of fantastic movie, we're going to go my number 4 pick here, which is going to be that Paul Thomas Anderson pick.
Ooh.
Magnolia.
Wow. Obviously, great pick.
Yeah.
Obviously a great pick.
I wouldn't have expected you to have this the highest.
Yeah, out of all of us.
Out of all of us,
Yeah,
it is
but
surprising.
that's really cool.
But it just barely, being John Malkovich in it, just barely, like, they're close.
Yeah.
Magnolia, I'm not gonna lie, the thing that put it over the top was definitely Julianne Moore's brilliant scene in
The drugstore.
the drugstore,
Yeah.
where she's just, you don't know me, man. Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
So good.
It's some pretty strong stuff. Like, what do you have? You know, great scene. Just all around fantastic ensemble. Paul Thomas Anderson really takes what he learned from one of his favorite filmmakers, Robert Altman, and just takes his stylistic way of storytelling, especially that of films like Nashville, The Player, even though I haven't seen it, Shortcuts, and he just does it pretty much almost to the extent of how well Altman does it, and that's just fantastic to me that a director can do it like that, but also being able to make it unique and still being able to call it your own thing. Now, it's my personal opinion that at this point in Paul Thomas Anderson's career, he's not really, at his full capacity. But even still, later in his career, I think he comes into his own.
Magnolia.
Yeah, he comes into his own, and like There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, those films. Punch Drunk Love, yeah. The Master, like those 4 films, and Inherent Vice. Those films feel like
they feel like Paul Thomas Anderson.
They don't feel like any other director.
They don't feel like Martin Scorsese or Robert Altman.
Magnolia, Boogie Nights, and Heart 8 feel like he's in a way trying to emulate, but they don't even feel like that.
They still feel like
he still makes them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The originality of the other films don't, just because he's referencing or paying tribute or homage to his favorite filmmakers, he's just so bloody talented that, he touches anything and it's, boom, a masterpiece. That's what's happening.
I think his later films sort of, in a way, homage some of his other favorite directors, like Jonathan Demme and Bergman. And
I just think to a certain extent, obviously, Boogie Nights is the most
Scorsese.
The most referential.
On paper, you're already gonna get that, right?
Yeah. Just specifically the shots, but just what I'm saying is great cast, every single favorite indie gem of actor, William H. Macy, John C. Reilly, Tom Cruise, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Love William H. Macy.
We could go for hours.
His kid, Donnie Smith. Love the scene when he walks into the bar and Supertramp just comes blasting on. I fucking love it so much.
Just a fantastic movie. The movie on here that I haven't seen in the longest and definitely needs a revisit. Wasn't able to get to it in time.
I'd like to see it again as well.
I'd like to see it again as well.
I watched it 3 times in 3 weeks. And it's a 3-hour movie. I was just so hyped up on it.
Speaking of hype, let's go to a hype pick from friend of the show, Aiden. And that's at Aiden on film.
Sorry, my bad.
That's at Aiden on. We'll get to your hype pick in a second.
Aiden.
As he says,
Aiden, you mad cunt.
Australian accent. Aiden says, and don't worry, I won't
Aiden ain't fucking around.
He doesn't fuck around, and I won't be doing this in an Australian accent because that'd be offensive. All right, to Aiden because but he's Australian. I just want to shout that out because otherwise the bad cunt thing doesn't make sense. That's something only Australians would be able to get away with saying. Yeah.
Well, people not in North America.
Australia's a cool place, but Aiden's a legend.
Exactly,
all right, he's a legend.
Putting that shrimp on the bobby.
Well, I guess Aiden was a fan of our podcast, is not now.
We love you, buddy. We love you.
Aiden says it's a tie between Fight Club and Toy Story 2. Fight Club is self-explanatory, which has already been made clear by Nolan and Matt. As for Toy Story 2, it's kind of nostalgic, but actually a really great sequel. In that it improves and expands on the characters and emotional and thematic qualities that all sequels should strive for. So that's the golden standard for sequels.
Toy Story 2 was my number 11.
Number 11.
And with a rewatch, it could have been in my top 10. I think it's one of Pixar's best. I love that film to death, but 1999 is just too good of a year, you know?
Speaking of movies that are in your top 10, let's go for your number 3 pick.
I see dead people. Yeah, The Sixth Sense. This movie kind of really revolutionary film in my life. It came at a time when I was not a full-blown cinephile yet. I was just someone whose interest in cinema was kind of on the outside, looking through the window at cinema. And The Sixth Sense was one of those movies that brought me in. You know, M. Night Shyamalan, the guy's kind of a meme, but
It's kind of a red doorknob.
yeah, I sort of wish
Kind of a knob.
I sort of wish his career just stopped after his first few films because I love them so much. The Sixth Sense, especially. Haley Joel Osment gives one of the best child performances of all time. The score is eerie. The shot composition is Hitchcockian. The color scheme is genius. Toni Collette just destroys me in that movie. Bruce Willis is fantastic. Like, come on. It's such a hard movie for me to get through. I tear up on multiple occasions. The car scene just annihilates my soul. And just the way Shyamalan confronts death and the afterlife, something that would speak to someone like me more than it would speak to someone else. And I find that Haley Joel Osment's character I sort of relate to in a way. I know he's just a little kid, but I think a lot of us have those moments of fear in our everyday lives, and I feel like this movie, it's a scary movie, but the arc of that film is really about going from destroying that fear that you have and confronting death and ultimately getting the positives out of it. And this is what I love about The Sixth Sense so much.
Good pick. Kids see ghosts sometimes.
Indeed.
And okay, moving on to my number 3 pick, we got Being John Malkovich by Spike Jonze and Charlie Kaufman. Yeah, I mean, Kirk, you summed it up pretty well. Charlie Kaufman is probably my favorite screenwriter. I would say the most creative.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's a unique, extremely unique voice in filmmaking.
Totally.
And a voice that could only be told through filmmaking.
Shout out to Adaptation.
Yeah, Adaptation's my favorite of his, but
speaking of adaptation, like none of his film, like screen, could be adapted to books. They wouldn't make it sense.
No, definitely
They
not.
only
Yeah.
work as movies.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
true.
brilliant.
Yeah, for sure.
I would read a Charlie Kaufman book, though. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, I would.
For
but
sure, but yeah,
I'm just
none of
saying
his
that
movies would translate
They
to,
wouldn't,
to the
right.
medium of film, or
Absolutely.
the medium of literature, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just such a creative screenplay. Just the fact that this is his first screenplay that got made into a film is crazy with how ludicrous of a concept it is. Just imagining him pitching this idea to people, just...
And Jones would hop right on it.
For sure,
He saw
yeah,
this
yeah.
and he was just like, I have to do it.
But yeah, this is just one of the most creative scripts I've ever seen. It's hilarious. It's melancholic, as Avery said, and just what the film says about human nature and celebrity and our relationship with celebrity, I guess, is just, I think, pretty brilliant. And yeah, just a surreal, hilarious, sad, existential film, and it's awesome.
Absolutely. Great movie.
Dope pick. All right, so my number 3 pick, fun fact about my number 3 pick, it's the first film, first Criterion Barry Jenkins ever owned.
Ratcatcher.
And that's going to be Ratcatcher.
Yes.
Lynn Ramsey's
Shout out to Barry
Scottish.
Jenkins.
Yeah, shout out to Barry Jenkins.
Video.
That's a quote from his Criterion closet, and he talks about how
The first Criterion, Barry Jenkins.
Yeah. He talks about how the blue one for this.
I was about to say
that. Which Criterion Blu-ray for this one, please?
Like seriously, get on that.
It's just such a dirty film. It takes place during the middle of a garbage strike, like the garbage men go on strike in Scotland. So it's just a filthy, like all the sets in it are just disgusting. But in this, setting that really should just, be very moody and, which it is, like, and unhappy. You find this childhood innocence, that happens in several scenes where you get these fantastical moments of just pure ignorance and bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
Again, Barry Jenkins talks about how impactful Lynn Ramsey's work with combining professional and non-professional actors in this movie. And I think there's a reason why it was such an influence on him and why he would go on to, make Moonlight based off some of the work he did here.
For sure.
I can definitely,
you can see it so much,
Just a fantastic performance from all around, like all of the cast, the mother, the kid there. I need to rewatch this movie again because, I haven't seen it since I had first seen it way earlier on in my film watching experiences. But it just has still left such an impact on me to this day that it's staying at my number 3 pick.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, Ratcatcher. Speaking of impact, let's go from our Discord, shout out to the Film Lads Discord, where Gabe, prominent member of the Discord, had this to say about his favorite movie of 1999. He said, "I'm going to go with Eyes Wide Shut. The film has such a potent, dreamy atmosphere to it, and it legit gave me nightmares. Hands down, the Kubrick film I find myself thinking about the most." And speaking of films, which people think of a lot, let's go to Nolan's thoughtful number 2 pick.
I almost feel like I'm still contemplating my number 2 and my number 1. But this is what I'm going to go with today. Janie, today I quit my job. And then I told my boss to go fuck himself. And then I blackmailed him for almost $60,000. Pass the asparagus. We talked about it earlier, but American Beauty is just a film that speaks to me on so many levels. And Victor, I remember way back you and I were sort of talking about American Beauty, and it's sort of a film that kind of relates to you in a way, like me, like both of us. It's like Lester Burnham. He's a middle-aged man. He's going through a midlife crisis,
mm-hmm.
but a lot of what he's going through, I find myself going through as well, or not necessarily going through, but I think about similar things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I just said fuck school and fuck all these rules that society puts on us? Kind of a theme of 1999.
Yeah,
huge
as
theme.
laid out by,
biggest.
There's a great YouTube video about the films of 1999 that deconstructs exactly what you're saying.
And you see it in so many.
He calls it the cubicle film, and that's a really great video essay.
I thought you didn't like that video essay.
No, it's a great video essay.
Okay. I remember showing it to you. And...
No, I probably, I had already seen it when you showed it.
Okay.
So that's probably my reaction or something.
Okay.
I don't know. But
yeah, I was
what I
going
was
to bring
saying,
up that video.
yeah, shout out to that video because it's a great video. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. Yeah, sorry to
interrupt. No. I'm glad you brought that up though, because
we've
get
all
all
seen
those films in 1999, like Fight Club, The Matrix, Office Space, like
American Beauty.
American Beauty, of course. There's definitely some others, but
The Matrix. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah, I said The Matrix. Yeah. It's just explored so well in American Beauty, and again, like, hate the man, love the performance, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
he's just so good in that movie, and there's so much humor sprinkled in there throughout that I love too. And shout out to why am I blanking on her name? His wife in the film, as a real estate agent who desperately wants to have an affair. I don't know, I've lost my train of thought. Every performance, every scene. I mentioned Thomas Newman earlier with the Green Mile, but his score for American Beauty really gets unnoticed, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah,
it's truly
the ending, so good.
It's truly captivating and euphoric. The ending just destroys me again.
Yeah,
you can watch that film over and over again.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
it's a great pick.
So that's my number 2.
Great pick for a great film.
Speaking of great picks, what's that number 2 pick going to be, Victor?
What is it going to be, Kirk? My number 2 pick, I got David Fincher's Fight Club. The lads are doing a little bit of a silent early celebration over here, and you'll find out why. But Fight Club is just iconic. I mean, fantastic performances. This is one of the first movies that got me into filmmaking. I watched it for the first time maybe grade 7 or 8, and I just loved its edginess when I was young, and I still do. And the performances are just iconic. The lines of dialogue, so good.
Hey man, what are you reading?
Fincher's style. And I agree with Matt. I don't agree that it's the best ending ever made, or of all time, but it's one of my favorite endings for sure. With that Pixies song, it's awesome. And
it's such a weird ending.
It's a very weird ending.
It's so weird.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you say about Fight Club? You're not even supposed to say anything about it, so...
I love what Fincher says about Fight Club, which is that he sees it as a coming-of-age film.
Totally.
Kind of similar to what he talked about with his love for 1967 with The Graduate. But instead of for, a young man who's in his late teens, early 20s, it's for men in their 30s.
Mm-hmm. And kind of like an early midlife crisis that has spawned from this cubicle kind of era or whatever that we were just talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, love the score by the Dust Brothers. Is that what they're called?
Dust Brothers.
Yeah, wish they did more film scores. But
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best scores of 1999.
Speaking of best of 1999. Let's roll right into that number 2 pick for myself. All right. Dead or Alive. We talked about Dead or Alive. That film opens on the most explosive, action-packed, Yakuza, crazy montage of cocaine, prostitutes, ramen, cars, booze, strippers, guys in washrooms being fucked, blood, real...
Just thinking about the cocaine and laughing.
Businessmen doing cocaine, Yakuza bosses, just an explosion of quick, action-packed, crazy shit, edited all fast-paced to crazy music, and it's just like an explosive piece of work from Takeshi Mikai. Then you have Audition. Such a reserved approach for a filmmaker who's never reserved. He never feels the need to hold back. But yet, with Audition, he subverts so much by holding back through those expectations. And it's just a film that, up until the last little bit, or the last however much in, you really honestly think Takeshi Mikai would make this film. It starts off as a rom-com. Alright? So blending genres in that way, and just the fantastic film that, even through its gore and like crazy auteur that is Takeshi Mikai, it really leaves you thinking. And I don't know if it's I still don't know to this day if it's some sort of fetishization or like some sort of deconstruction. I don't fully understand Audition in that way, but it's just brilliant through and through. So I had to give it to Takeshi Mikai's Audition. All right, now let's go for another great pick from our Discord. From Tony Charles, another regular of our Discord, who said, I don't know if I can just choose one. I'll go with Iron Giant. Beautifully fleshed out characters, interesting political commentary, and plenty of philosophical musings to ruminate throughout. all while maintaining its warmth and tenderness. Easily Brad Bird's best, in my opinion. Well said, Tony.
Very
And
well
before the film lads get into what we think is the best film of 1999, why don't we all just quickly go through some honorable mentions to celebrate this wonderful year? So I'll give you guys a second just to prepare that, and then we'll add it.
So many.
Do you want to like pull up like your 1999?
Yeah, I got it pulled up.
Okay, hold up.
I gotta
Give me
pull
a
up
sec.
just
Yeah,
mine.
So many filmmakers making so many big names making films in 1999, and
one of the film lads' favorites, Harmony Korine.
Julian Donkey Boy.
Julian Donkey Boy, that's what I was
Love
thinking.
that movie.
That didn't make anyone's list, but a movie
It
we
was
all
close. It
are
was like my
fans
number
of.
11. So.
It came in
Yeah, it was
around
like
number
my-
13 for me. So
14 for me.
Fight Club, Color of Paradise, Julian Donkey Boy, Existence, The Virgin Suicides, and
Love Virgin Suicides.
Takeshi Kintano's Kikijiro
Oh yeah.
from that year, which is like such a weird film, but so cute and happy. That was like, those were all the films that were up in the airs. Existence, I know you're not a fan, Nolan, but it just works for me, the camp in a way, and just how it feels all unreal, but it's one of my favorite video game movies in a weird way, because it does...
It is a video game.
Yeah, it is a video game movie, but it's not. It feels so weird and surreal. Okay. Shout out, also, I gotta shout out my friend Jan, my best friend Jan, because he's out there thinking, Kirk, why aren't you shouting out the real best movie of 1999? His favorite movie of 1999, Boondock Saints, with a wonderful, brilliant performance from the always wonderful Willem Dafoe. He quotes that movie, my friend Jan quotes that movie so much, he can quote all of Dafoe's performances line for line, because he's brilliant in that movie. Also, Dead or Alive, Bringing Out the Dead, Scorsese, like, very underappreciated film from Scorsese.
Very underappreciated.
Yeah,
Maybe his weirdest.
yeah, weirdest, with great performances from Nick Cage and John Goodman.
Yeah, and Tom Sizemore and Bing Rames.
Also got a shout out to one of my favorite comedic parodies of all time, and that's going to be Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
So close to making my list. So close to making
all of
my
the
list.
Austin Powers. I like the third one the best, but all of the Austin Powers movies are just important parts of my childhood. My father would quote
Same.
them so much, and I
we
to
still
this
in my
day-
house. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no.
quoted every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in mine too.
Yeah. It's I love all the Austin Powers movies. They're all like equally just fantastic, very consistent.
And
hilarious.
got to give a shout out to Fantasia 2000 for just, it's more Fantasia, but I really like Fantasia 2000. All About My Mother, The Wind Will Carry Us, Beau Travail,
Travail.
yeah, which has my favorite ending, 1999.
We all know that ending.
Fantastic.
I don't actually.
Oh, you
Doesn't remember from.
Yeah.
It
I'm
was
sure if I saw it,
featured
it would
in
ring a
our,
bell, but I can't.
in our French cinema course last year. Mike Lee's Topsy Turvy, Jim Jarmusch's
Oh, I wanted to
Ghost
see that
Dog,
movie.
Way of the Samurai, Girl Interrupted, Office Space, which has my favorite comedic scene, close to one of my favorite scenes from the year, where they're just going ham, smashing that printer.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful scene. Yeah, and I'm sure
Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch Project,
Yep.
which I didn't get a chance to see. Yeah, there are lots of films that I really.
We
also-
talked about But I'm a Cheerleader already.
Yeah.
Yeah, which now is on my list.
10 Things I Hate
I was just
About
going to
You.
say that.
Yeah.
It's a really fun movie.
Yeah, I have like, I was thinking that it was kind of bad, but I kind of love that movie in a way.
Great Shakespeare adaptation.
Galaxy
yeah, that's what I watched
Quest.
for this guy.
Shout out to Galaxy Quest.
Shout out to Tarzan. That was
Nah.
like my favorite movie as a kid.
Oh, I dislike Tarzan. But that's I'm sorry, Film Labs listeners.
I haven't seen it since I was like.
No,
I can't. I don't even know.
Look, the truth is, Phil Collins, man. Phil Collins. Can't do that guy. Just don't like it. I don't like Phil Collins.
Fair enough.
You know what's like a fun little fact about Phil Collins and Tarzan 1999? He ended up beating South Park out for the Oscar that year for Best Original Song. So later that year in South Park, they made fun of Phil Collins, and he just has his Oscar, like, goes around the episode like, oh, I have an Oscar. It's just like, yeah, it's really a parody.
I think
I didn't get a chance to see My Best Fiend, which I really wanted to see.
Yeah.
The Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski documentary. Just
I really wanted to see that, but I didn't.
Their crazy stories. And King of Comedy by Stephen Chow. Stephen Chow's film. Not Martin Scorsese's.
I want to give a shout out to Go, the Doug Liman film. Very much like Tarantino, but with that kind of swingers sensibility to it. Rosetta was pretty good.
Boys Don't Cry is also pretty dope.
Boys Don't Cry was good.
Pokemon, the movie 2000, not good.
Oh, I forgot to.
Not great, but I'll give it a shout out. Also, shout out to Stuart Little. That's for my girlfriend Christy. Shout out to Stuart Little.
M. Night Shyamalan wrote that baby. What a year, yeah. I'm pretty sure. You go just double check. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
What I love about 1999 though is like it was at a time when not only was it.
Sorry, Michael J. Fox voiced Stuart Little.
Yeah.
Whoa! I need to rewatch Stuart Little. It's so weird. Sorry.
No worries.
But I just learned that.
I was just gonna say that what I love about 1999 is that it was a time in film where it preceded like the golden age of television, but also like the golden age of the superhero craze. You had all these studios that, you know, instead of making sequel after sequel and superhero movie after superhero movie, they were being bold. Like they were making like these original films. Like what studio nowadays would release Fight Club, like a $70 million budget film? Like, but you look at this year, like the top 10 box office of the year so far, the only two original films, or maybe it's top 15 or something, but the only two original films are Us and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Whereas back then, it was the opposite. Like there were two sequels or whatever. So I just I was only 1 year old at the time, but I do really miss the days of when studios would take chances on these bold original films. And this is me talking about the Hollywood films, right? So,
of course.
Because now we have A24 to give us that.
Yeah, exactly, which is dope.
Production,
it's a new movement.
Yeah. You know, they don't make the films, but they
distribute.
Yeah. But that's why, like, that group, it's like basically A24 films, that's a genre now.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of
good films,
speaking of masterpieces, let's go into the best film of 1999. Simultaneously agreed.
We're simultaneously agreeing.
Yeah,
right?
simultaneous.
Are you sure about that? Because I made a little last minute switch. No, I'm kidding.
And that's going to be a film brought up by plenty of our viewers already. Eyes Wide Shut, from the master
Stanley Kubrick. This was a last minute decision making this my number one.
Yeah. From both of you. For me, I knew it going in, but
that's your only 5-star from this
I know
year,
both of you guys. Well, maybe I might have just upped Audition to a 5.
Nice.
Audition's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I was saying was, you guys, you know, you were so conflicted with. I know it was really close for you, so it's great.
I'm still conflicted.
Yeah, I know. It's just great to see. We're all on like kind of the same page in this very moment.
Yeah.
So let's just go through a bit about how we feel about this film in order still. So Nolan.
Well, where do you start?
Yeah.
Everything about it's just Kubrick famously put his heart and soul into this project, shot it for over a year, was working on this thing for like over a decade, and it just shows in every single frame. Everything from the Steadicam work to Tom Cruise's charisma to the lighting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
To the music,
to the costuming,
to the pacing, to the costuming, to the sequence, the sequence.
Yeah.
To everybody's little side performances, like of the characters that Bill meets on his Odyssey, from the guy in the costume shop to Alan Cumming. Like what a scene that is! Wow, like the experience is just so mesmerizing from start to finish.
Totally.
The themes that it's dealing with are just so important and
bold
and
complex,
layered. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired, but I just Eyes Wide Shut. It's up there for Kubrick's best for sure. I have three Kubrick films. Barry Lyndon, 2001, Eyes Wide Shut are like the three. It's the best Christmas movie ever made as well. Best Christmas movie.
Hard disagree. It's not a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
No.
I don't know what I think.
I'll send you some.
I've seen articles explaining why it's like such a good Christmas.
It's on every Christmas movie as well. Like,
but like,
you mean it's on every Christmas?
What?
Sorry.
Like on TV.
Yeah. So it's on. It's on every Christmas movie.
Yeah. You're just getting tired. It's all good, lad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I knew what you meant though. I just wanted the viewers to understand.
I also love watching it at Christmas time, and it makes the whole experience even creepier.
Yeah.
It's just like Christmas movies.
I've seen articles. That was a good line.
Christmas movies don't necessarily have to make you feel like homey and
no, that's not what I'm saying.
There's another side to Christmas.
It's not a Christmas movie because I can watch Eyes Wide Shut at any time and it's still a masterpiece. If I watch my favorite Christmas movie, A Muppet Christmas Carol, fantastic film, I can't watch that movie in the summer. I can't watch that movie now. I need to watch it on Christmas. You know, that's a Christmas movie.
But it's also not Stanley Kubrick's magnum opus.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, to me, this isn't a Christmas movie. It's at any time of year. It's a movie set in Christmas, like all of
that is
Shane Black's movies.
Yeah.
I think the themes, though, relate to Christmas.
Mm-hmm. So, for sure.
And sorry, me and my tired lad talking so slow. You guys take it away.
Yeah, Victor, weigh in on this here.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up like really well, like with the lighting, Steadicam. I'm a sucker for that Kubrick Steadicam. It's my nut. Love it. Yeah, it's a movie that like I feel like I know so little about, which like just makes me so compelled by it. And just I said it in my review, like The Master, like it feels so complex and layered and deep thematically that I just want to keep going back to it, and its atmosphere, Cruise's performance.
It's little clues to things.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I feel like there's just so much to read into like everything. I feel.
Yeah.
Now, look. Objectively, I think the best movie of all time is 2001: A Space Odyssey. All right. It's not anywhere close to my favorite film. So I have to say, Eyes Wide Shut is now way more my favorite Kubrick film. Okay, it used to be The Shining, but I've grown to appreciate Eyes Wide Shut like nothing else in Kubrick's filmography. And that's really saying something because Kubrick's just a master, all right? If not the master of cinema. And I know Kubrick was a huge fan of Ingmar Bergman, and I think that really shows in this film. If any film of his is going to take the pathos of a existential Bergman film and put it in a Kubrick sense, like in a Kubrick film, it's going to be Eyes Wide Shut. Just so, like, take for example in Persona when she's telling the story of like this sexual experience she had. You get that
for
in
sure.
Nicole Kidman's tale
True, yeah.
too. Again, like if he's referencing another or like, you know, aspiring to another goat, this is like I feel like what Kubrick wanted to do in a way. Like, you know, like Nolan said, it was his passion project for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine waiting for this to come out.
What a great way to like end a brilliant career.
Totally.
Yeah.
Excellent swan song.
Absolutely.
Kubrick has this certain humor to his work that's present all throughout, and it is here in Eyes Wide Shut.
The awkward politeness just gets to me every time.
There's a certain maturity, like that goes even past like the humor. To me, I find like maturity in a way where it's that black comedy doesn't push all the way through in it. That in ways that, you know, The Shining does. So I'm not saying his films are immature, but the most mature in his career, and it's just like you can really see that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to talk about with this film that I'm not even gonna try.
So many things I love about it. I could just go on and on and on. The amount of money Bill spends, just tiny little things like that, and the just every woman he runs into, how attracted they are to him, and even Alan Cumming's character. And you would think, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. You know, like that girl whose father passes away early on in the film. And then when she pleads her love for Bill, it's so pathetic. But it is his fantasy coming.
Well, like right after Nicole Kidman's character's wife, like confesses this thing that she wanted, and he's just like I don't think it's black and white, but you know, like
of course
he has these certain idea of women's desires, and
exactly.
He's immediately proven wrong in a sense, but also at the same time, it's like fantasy fulfillment. So it's just like there's so many levels to it.
I hear so many people saying now that Eyes Wide Shut is his best film.
Yeah, I hear that so much.
Yeah, and it totally makes sense.
All right, man. Well, thank you all for listening. It's so glad everyone like tweeted in and messaged us on the Discord. Shout out to the Discord again. Feel free to join that up for some great discussions and stuff, or follow the Twitter too.
We'll link
Links
the
will be in
Discord.
Links are always in the description. Great year.
Awesome year. Awesome
Happy
picks.
Birth
Glad we
year
all agree on
anniversary. 20. The lad is now 20.
Yes.
Victor Canal. Lad up on that. Thank you for listening. And that's going to be
And bye-bye.